Hi, today we're going to be talking about axes, okay? Now, when we talk about axes, we really need to talk about what we're using them for. Are we using them in a car camping situation? Are we backpacking with them? You know, that kind of an idea. Do I need an axe? In my opinion, in most situations, no. You know, you can get away with other items. If you've got a big enough group where you can require the weight that it's going to take to do this, if you're car camping, I always keep an axe inside the car. I'm kind of against wooden handles for most situations because they can break while you're out there, and if it's something you're depending on, it's nice to have something that's going to be able to take a couple blows without breaking. So, what are the two basic types of axes here? So this is a true axe for chopping. So we have chopping and splitting axes. So it's going to come down here, nice and smooth all the way through, and kind of feather out to the tip way back here in the back. So it's almost going to be kind of going skinnier and skinnier and skinnier until we get all the way to the tip and kind of thin out. Now a splitting axe or a splitting maul, this one's all dirty of course, is going to kind of be wedge, you know, big, fat, and then it's going to come right down to the very end and close off. Now you can even get, you know, I think they call these the super axe, and they have a big wedge style to them where they're even going to feather out even more and get your wood to split. So it's narrow at the front like an axe, so it tends to stick, and then it'll actually force out. These work really good on soft woods. Not a big fan of them for hard woods because they tend to stick, and unless you can chop all the way through it in the first stroke, it tends to stick. So these also splitting mauls are also designed to be hit with another axe or another maul really, or sledgehammer. So they're a softer, so you'll see they're kind of dinged up a little bit. These are a softer wood or a softer metal. A true axe will be made out of a high carbon steel metal, and if you were to smack it with another axe on the back, you can actually shear off pieces of metal and actually crack your heads. So splitting mauls, go ahead and hit the back of them to drive them through the wood. An axe, we want to pull it back out and start over again. Like I said, it's going to be a chopping motion. So what do I pick for backpacking, camping, you know, that kind of an idea? So what I use them for mainly when it comes to axes and things like this, I'm going to use them for backpacking and splitting at home. So I'm a big fan of the Fiskars X. I don't know if you can see that. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but I do like them. When I backpack, I use this guy right here. It's called the X15. It has, let's see here. The handle itself, not including the head, about 21 inches. Overall, about 24 inches. I like that. I tend to tell people for backpacking we want something with the tip of our fingers all the way to the crux of our arm here. You know, these guys come with a really nice sheath. You actually twist off, pop off. Scouts are required to have a sheath. It's not leather, so if it gets wet or you're using it out in the wood or gooping it up for, you know, maybe you're busting up some animals, things like that, it will definitely allow you to be able to not have, you know, guts and things all in there rot. It's really easy to clean out. Now, hatchets. I tend to stay away from hatchets. If you watch any of our other videos, I tend to replace them with a full tang knife, and the reason is because if I'm cutting with a hatchet, I'm holding it here and whacking. That's almost impossible to hit at the exact spot every single time for most people. Sometimes they'll lay them down, and if you're going to do that, if you're going to use a hatchet, we recommend, you know, laying them down and splitting them without your hand in the way and actually hitting them here. We want to cut straight down on, so we're not having it hit and go through our legs, which you'll see a lot of people do where they stroke all the way through. It's a very deliberate fall directly onto the wood. And that'll tend to split them up really good. This is their X7 axe, which is real popular. Definitely one of the more popular hatchets out there. These are not cheap products. You know, when you get into axes, you're going to spend, this I think is the best priced axe out there that works fairly well. And then I have their big chopping axe, which has a 36-inch handle. These are made in Finland. Again, you're having a big wedge idea, so a very sharp axe. So it's going to get into the wood really fast and then split out. I've had really good success for this. For wood, you can actually get it to chop right through in the first chop because it does tend to get stuck. And then woods that you can't chop through, I just go back to a splitting maul. So something like this, easy to clean out. There you go. I'm definitely not going to be carrying this on my backpack, so I like I said, that 24-inch range I'm going to really be able to use. I can cut down a small tree with this. I can buck up a tree. I can do some light splitting on anything about the 9-inch range, about 12 inches tall. So I try to cut my wood all about 12 inches. And that way I can split it up real nice and use it for firewood. Most of these other axes are going to be something I'm going to keep at home. I do carry some of these other ones when I'm car camping. So this one has a little bit longer handle, a little easier to chop with. I keep this one in my truck. So you're about 28 inches from top to bottom. This allows me, if I have a tree that falls down in the middle of the road, I can really use this to actually bust up a tree at that size. And I've cut down plenty of trees with an axe, and you know, better just bring a chainsaw. But if you don't have something like that and you want to throw it in your truck, I throw this guy in my truck, keep it in my truck all the time. And then that way I keep a big knife and a hatch, you know, a small saw, an axe, and a big knife, and I can do most jobs that I'm going to be doing camping. And then these guys I leave at home. As you can see, these guys get left out in the sun, and that used to be red and don't get taken care of as well, and the kids tend to leave them out and not take care of them. They tend to take a little bit more of abuse. They're a lot cheaper, $20, $30 range versus $70 to $100 when you buy their nice Fiskars axe. And of course you can buy their really high-end wood-handled axes, and you're going to spend $200, $300 on some of those. So for the money, I'm a big fan of Fiskars. I think they're replaceable at that range. They're easy to sharpen, and they tend to cut really nice. This is something you're going to have to watch out for because they will chip, because they are a, you know, people will say, oh, they chip, that's crappy steel, and it's actually because it's harder steel. So harder steel tends to chip. Softer steel will tend to round off or not chip but kind of flatten out. So if you hit rocks with these guys do tend to chip out, and you just got to file them back in. And it is an axe. It's not a, you know, it doesn't have to be perfectly razor sharp in every single spot. I tend to bring a file with me to smooth them back out, and a stone to heal them back up. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit us back up as always. Leave comments, like and share. And if you want to see something else, definitely look the rest of our site and leave a comment on what you might want to see next. So as always, have a great day.